Hello, everyone. My name is Matt Wyman. I'm the Chief Product Officer here at Sauce Labs. Over the next 20 plus minutes, we're going to have a chance to discuss what's next here at Sauce Labs, including new capabilities available for the first time. I'm also going to direct you to a specific set of sessions where you can learn more and get started with each of those new capabilities. So as we walk together through this presentation, I'd ask that you imagine Sauce Labs just as much part of the experience you are having as we are the platform provider, building a solution for the challenges you face. We are with you in this journey, and so we're excited to be here together and get started. So what does this mean? Well, Sauce Labs is a platform for digital confidence. This morning, we heard from Terry, our Chief Marketing Officer, talking about the ever-expanding relationship between technology and our daily lives. We heard Diego talking about AI and the future of testing intelligence systems. And here we are together in a multi-thousand person room in a virtual conference, all mediated through a digital experience. And around us, we have fellow people working digitally. We have potentially school children going to school remotely. And again, it's all a digital experience. We're in a world increasingly driven by software. And in the world of software, businesses need to move quickly. But moving fast isn't enough. We need to move fast and maintain an amazing customer experience. Digital confidence is about having the systems necessary to ensure that your customer's experience never degrades. Digital confidence is about managing the challenge of change so you can keep the breakneck pace of modern software development and still maintain the highest possible quality experience for your customers. So here at Sauce Labs, our vision is to provide you a platform for digital confidence. We strive to create a platform that's the test framework, that's agnostic to test frameworks, and it's unified and easy to use, and provides you the insights you need for improvement. Really, this is the test platform you need to negotiate the pace of modern development. So I want to set the stage with a bird's eye view of Sauce Labs in 2020. And let's look at our top 4 focus areas. It starts with the platform. We're hard at work on the next generation of the Sauce Labs platform. And if you're a long-time Sauce customer, you know that our stability and performance have improved significantly. However, we're not satisfied with where we are today. And so we will continue to invest heavily to become a faster and more stable platform than ever before. Second, the makeup of the test community has really changed and evolved. We'll discuss this in more detail in just a few minutes. But the TLDR is that testing continues to diversify in ownership, in persona and purpose. And we see that Sauce Labs has the opportunity to build bridges from QA and SDET to developer, from developer QA SDET to business owner, product manager, and beyond. And we're going to do just that. Third, as many of you are likely aware, Sauce Labs acquired 2 fantastic companies, a mobile test company called TestObject and a visual test company called Screener. Well, I'm happy to announce that we're on track for full integration of both TestObject in early fall and Screener not too long after in the early winter. And finally, Sauce Labs is sitting on a wealth of test patterns and interactions and results. This is data that can help you build a more efficient, effective, and healthy test organization. We're therefore investing significant time and energy into insights driven by AI and ML, insights that utilize things like Google Lighthouse and other techniques and mechanisms, so you can get access to purpose-built intelligence and insights to drive improvement of your own digital confidence. And so with that, let's take a moment to look at digital confidence for Sauce Labs. There are a number of ways that we could measure digital confidence, right? This is about your experience. And one of the best measures is the number of tests. On an average day, we run over 2.5 million tests. On a peak day, that number can be high as 3 million and sometimes even 3.2. And not only do we run 2.5 million tests, but in terms of lifetime, we've run over 3 billion. That's a lot of zeros. And at the current growth rate, we expect to hit the next milestone really soon. But digital confidence is more than just how many tests we run on the platform. It's also about whether you're able to provide digital confidence to your customers. And to that end, we've generated a continuous benchmark report. It's a report you can download, and I suggest you do, and go read up on. It enables you to see how your organization stacks up against other organizations of similar size and type. It gives you a window into how to improve your test efficiency in your test processes. Let's quickly go over the 4 primary categories of the continuous test benchmark report. The first is pass rate. Top performers in this area have a 90% or higher pass rate on their tests. The next is time, because of course, we're all trying to move through the software pipeline quickly. So top performers are able to execute tests in under 2 minutes. Next are platforms. We find that the top organizations are testing against 5 or more platforms on a regular basis. And finally, capacity. You can also think of this as efficiency. We find that top performers in this area utilize 75% of their total capacity at any given time. If we look at organizations and how organizations perform across these categories, it gets pretty interesting. Turns out 25% of organizations are able to hit that 90% top bar. It turns out that 45% of organizations are able to run tests in under 2 minutes. And of course, platforms are split. If you're writing native apps or using mobile, then you're able to get to a 63%, at least that's the top bar is 63%. And 74% of organizations running browser tests or desktop tests are able to hit that 5+ platform mark. And finally, 78% of organizations are able to use 75% or more of their capacity. Well, why does this matter? Well, it matters for a couple of reasons. The first is, if you don't know where you are, you can't improve. Test is all about data, and understanding where we fit in and where we can improve and where the efficiency opportunities are allows us to pick the next correct capability and the next correct area of investment. And what's interesting for us from that standpoint is that only 7.79% of all the organizations are able to hit all 4 top categories. And at first we wondered, why would that be? It seems like a low number. But then as we started looking more carefully, we realized that, of course, applications aren't all the same. Organizations aren't all the same. And in fact, although we have and share common basic needs, it's in fact quite clear from the data that there are different threads and different changes that we're each experiencing as we're moving through this modern era of changing development processes. So it seems to make, oh, by the way, definitely download the report and read up on it. So making sense of test and test data is absolutely critical to all of us. We're absolutely swimming in test results. Passes, failures, thousands of tests that get executed every single day for each of our organizations. Some of those tests are flaky. Some of the services sitting behind the tests are flaky. The tests are fine, but the services are not. Some of the tests are in staging, UAT, development, some are in production. The world of test and where you're executing your tests is quite diverse. And it's hard in that diverse environment to find the patterns. It's hard to find root cause when those tests start to fail. And quite often, especially in larger organizations, you'll discover that teams are chasing the same issue, but don't know it because there's no connection between the teams to indicate that they're both chasing down the same issues. Well, given the body of testing that we have available to us, and given the types of patterns that we're seeing, this is a situation ripe for AI and ML. And so I'm really happy today to announce something called failure analysis. This is a new capability on our platform that utilizes AI and ML to look at all the test results and all the test data and organize them and highlight where there are common patterns and prioritize them so you know which areas are going to provide you the most impact in improving efficiency inside of your test suites and with your pipeline. One of the interesting things about AI ML is it looks at and can look at a broad set of data that crosses more than just single purpose. So this is more than browser testing or mobile testing. This is a mechanism that looks at all your test results across all the different sources, because you're likely using the same APIs, regardless of whether it's in a mobile app or a mobile experience or a desktop experience on Windows or Mac or anywhere else. We're happy to say that we already have 15 pilot enterprise and other organizations utilizing failure analysis. And very interestingly, one of the first pilots discovered that 27% of their flaky tests were all due to a single root cause. Although it wasn't incredibly visible to the human eye, the AI mechanism pulled it right out and prioritized it to the top of the list. Today, we have a session that's being held by Marcus Merrill and Alistair Hayes that goes into a lot more detail on failure analysis. It goes into the data science behind failure analysis, how we did it, what we thought about, some of the dead ends that we went down, and also how we put the product together. They're also going to be announcing 3 new reports that we're making available to everyone. So it's not just failure analysis that we're providing today. We're also opening up 3 new reports available to everyone everywhere, subscriber and enterprise alike, to help you with test efficiency, test history, and understand your test practice at large. Well, we started with data because it's data that gives us that direction and understanding of where things are going, because we're living in a changing environment, particularly in software. We've all heard those phrases, the DevOps revolution, shift left, sometimes shift right, and digital transformation. I love these phrases because they all point to the same root need. We need to move faster. We need to move smaller units, more manageable units, more predictable units through our pipelines. And there's really only one way to do that. And that's if you improve your testing and validation. So there we are. We're rocketing along, and we're working across Windows and Mac OS and Chrome and Safari and Mozilla and Edge. We're using Android and iOS, and we're using Selenium and Appium and WebDriver and XUI tests and Espresso, and it goes on and on and on. The world keeps getting more fragmented and more diverse, but so too are the people we're working with that care about digital experience inside of the organization. We're seeing product owners, security engineers, marketers, developers, and others who all want to know that the products that are being created are valid and are going to work and create a phenomenal experience for their customer. This is the essence of digital confidence. It's also why today we formally announced the addition of the developer persona to our base and core set of personas, QA, QE, and SDET. This has been a long time in coming, and we've always had developers on our platform. But really, it's the offshoot of a multi-year investment in a unified platform that's allowing us to plug in new frameworks and new capabilities. We'll be talking about that in just a few minutes. And so we welcome developers as a first-class persona now on the Sauce Labs platform. I'd like to take a moment and explore what that might mean. In this particular case, this is a feature that's available, well, being made available today. And it's really focused in the mobile space because mobile crosses over between developers and quality in a very interesting way, especially if you're building a native app. If you have a native app and you're trying to validate it, you're trying to debug it, or you're trying to pre-flight the next build so you can get ready to release it, or you're trying to understand the memory profile, understand how it's actually operating and how it's working with the physical device, it's very difficult to do so without the physical device sitting next to your computer. Now we have emulators and we have simulators and we have a public cloud of devices and a private cloud of devices, and those are fantastic for manual testing and for automated testing. But if you're trying to work in the bridge, the space between where you're still building an application and trying to validate at the same time, and you're trying to collaborate across your team, developer and quality together, it's incredibly hard not to have a physical device somewhere. That's why there's always been that cart stacked with devices. But that's not a great solution either, because it's slow to get new devices. And besides, not all of us are sitting next to each other, especially now. So we're happy to announce today, we have a capability called virtual USB. Imagine the longest USB cable you can possibly imagine. A USB cable so long that it attaches your local machine all the way up into our private cloud. Basically, the private cloud devices can be attached to your local machine, and you can work with them as though they were sitting right there on your desk. It's like plucking a device out of the cloud and putting it down next to you. You can connect to it, you can debug on it, you can do profiling on it, and then you can switch to the next device, from iPhone to Android, from Pixel back to iPhone and iPad. You can also run a test case, find an issue, and then do a handoff to a developer elsewhere or to a quality person elsewhere, and know that the device you tested on is available to that person immediately to go grab from the cloud. This is a great way to share hundreds of devices across your organization and to make your teams more productive in the mobile space. Today, Carla Schoenicke and Wim Sells will be demoing virtual USB, as well as talking about other mobile capabilities that we're bringing forward. And again, I think this is an example of where developer and quality come together. You need to work arm in arm and more effectively to provide high digital confidence solutions. But it doesn't stop there. Last year, we announced and released a product called Headless. It was a mechanism to run Selenium tests in your CI pipeline. And it had some really good traction. And we continue to be very excited about it. Some large organizations are using it very heavily. Some smaller organizations are using it effectively. But we got to thinking, could we do better? Is there more that we can do? And we realized that there really is. There are some ways that we can think differently about testing in CI. For example, you can imagine bringing browsers back into CI and joining that native JavaScript movement that's starting to happen. You can imagine moving Sauce Labs and some of the Sauce Labs capabilities further back and using Sauce Labs as an insights, data collection, test aggregation, collaboration platform. You can also imagine, as our OSS roots support, the addition of new frameworks. You see, we've always been part of the OSS community. We support Appium, we support Selenium and WebDriver. Well, there are other open source frameworks, and we want to plug those in as well. Frameworks like Microsoft's Playwright and Google's Puppeteer. So, we're making a big change. We're adding a whole new area, a whole new set of capabilities. We call it the Sauce Testrunner Toolkit, and it's available right now. We just made it available. It runs through a small binary. We call it sauce control. And you can go find it at GitHub, saucelabs/sauce control, right there at the top of the screen. The little binary utilizes existing APIs and some new APIs we've recently added to wrap existing frameworks that you can run in your CI pipeline that then pass information to the Sauce Labs platform once the test's complete. We're also building this in such a way that you can reach through that little binary that runs in the CI to get access to the infrastructure of Sauce Labs, Mac OS, Windows, all the various browsers that we've put together. And we're doing so with standardized images. So you can just pluck an image off of our registry, drop it into your pipeline, and start writing your tests in native JavaScript. We're really excited about this. We are purposely bringing it to you early. It works and is robust, but it's still a beta, and it's an open source beta. So we are hoping for and looking forward to contributions. Right now, the demo and the sauce control binary are fully open and accepting contributions. The core runner underneath, we're stabilizing, but we'll be opening that up soon as well. So containerized testing in CI, which by the way, already works in GitHub Actions and Circle CI, is a full session that we'll be talking about today. Matt Roski, Director of Engineering, and Christian Broman, who is an amazing senior software engineer and community member in the OSS community, will be sort of peeling back the container, if you will, and showing you how sauce control works, how you can run it locally, how you can run it in your pipeline, and what the backlog looks like, and what we can do with the future of having a binary like this that can give access to a number of different frameworks across Sauce Labs. So let's review. Today we talked about 4 new areas to help you drive and improve digital confidence. We talked about the continuous test benchmark report, which you can download and provides you insights for your organization, how you can improve, where you can focus, what other organizations like you are doing. I've talked about failure analysis and 3 new insight reports that'll help you better understand the flow of tests coursing through your development pipeline. We talked about virtual USB, an example of how developers and quality people can work together and use devices from the cloud locally as though they're on their tabletop. And finally, we talked about the Sauce Testrunner Toolkit, a significant change in direction as we help add a new framework and a new set of frameworks into testing as the world shifts left and shifts right at the same time. We believe that quality is more than testing, and we believe testing isn't just in one place. It happens in many areas. It happens through many personas and many different people. We believe that digital confidence is bigger than just one team. It's about having a platform for quality that helps you look in a unified way across all the different signals and all the different inputs that you're starting to build and generate and participate in. It's about a framework that helps you move faster, but do so safely and predictably, so you understand the consequences of each change that's moving through the system. Over the course of 2020, not only will you see an acceleration of new capabilities and platform improvements, you'll have the opportunity to weigh in and participate in our future direction. We take seriously our position in the market, within your organizations, and in the open source community. As testing and the need for digital confidence expands through your organization, we expect to build you the tools that you need. Our purpose, our focus, is to create a better digital world by providing you the tools you need to maintain and ensure your customers' digital experience. So, the Sauce Testrunner Toolkit, Virtual USB, Failure Analysis, and Continuous Testing Benchmark are just a few of the numerous exciting updates you're going to hear about today in the various sessions. Each is about building connections within our organizations and across our teams and across our industry to drive digital confidence and test better together. Part of what makes Sauce Labs great is our strong belief in open source and giving back to the OSS community. So it is from that perspective and that commitment that we are opening up some of those projects a little on the early side, and in particular, the Sauce Testrunner Toolkit. But we trust you, and we're hopeful, and we're excited about what we're building. And we know that it will gain traction and resonance, and you'll hit bumps, and you'll have issues, and you'll tell us about that. And we're listening. We want to change, we want to adapt, and we're excited to move forward together because we believe it's not just code that tests better together. It's also ideas that test better together. So thank you. I look forward to seeing and talking to each of you later in the sessions today.